It is only undergraduate degree, no master's degree, no doctoral degree, and they must redefine the engineering education. They have only 360 students and they have only about $500 million endowment. So हर एक स्टूडेंट के लिए करीब 9-10 करोड़ रुपया बैंक में रखा हुआ है. For every student almost 9-10 crore rupees sitting in the bank account. Very, very well funded, very, very innovative college. America's best universities are learning from Olin College how to teach engineering. Now, when you go to Olin College and you ask them, what do you teach? They say, we teach this. All right, do you have faculty for this? No, we don't teach humanities by ourselves. We send them to Wellesley College. Wellesley is a very, very famous women's college in Boston area. So they go and learn humanities from Wellesley College. Right? All right. What about the management? No, we don't have hired management faculty. Next door to us in the same compound is the America's one of the finest management college. Our students learn management from them. Why should we hire humanities faculty when Wellesley has such renowned faculty? You go to EPFL in Switzerland, and EPFL is a very, very renowned engineering school, and you ask them, what do you teach? And they say, we teach this. All right. So then, but we don't hire humanities faculty. Why? Because there is a university in Lausanne which has a fantastic humanities faculty. They teach our students. Right? The whole world recognizes that educational institutions have to work together, collaborate together. It is only very small mindedness that brings us to start thinking that it is a zero-sum game. If you sell more Coca-Cola, you will be selling less Pepsi-Cola. If you sell more IBM computers, you will be selling less Hewlett-Packard computers. That is called zero-sum game. Market को 100 कंप्यूटर खरीदने हैं, आप बेचोगे तो मैं नहीं बेच पाऊंगा, मैं बेचूंगा तो आप नहीं बेच पाओगे. But in education, it is not a zero-sum game. If you will do well, I will do better. If I will do well, you will do better. And if we both have to do better, we both have to do good. And not just IIT and BHU, it has to be to Sampurnanand, it has to be Kashi Vidyapit, it has to be Indo-Tibetan institution, and so on and so forth. So I am extremely excited to have this occasion where we are recognizing publicly, acknowledging publicly that we are very, very deep connection. In fact, our parentage is same, as Professor Amit Patra said. Our parentage is same, our history is same, our heritage is same. It is only a matter of a little bit of convenience because of which you have a different bank account than we do. To my mind, that is the only thing. Your money comes straight directly, not through the so-called central office of BHU. That is it. To my mind, I don't see. You can take your own decision without central office deciding it. What is wrong with that? To my mind, that's a more autonomy. In fact, BHU's faculties, BHU's institutions should have similar level of autonomy to take their own decisions, to run their own destiny. So I'm very excited to have this occasion, and I'm thankful to Professor Amit Patra, to IIT BHU for making this happen. We had been talking about these MOUs for quite some time. In fact, before Professor Amit Patra, the previous director, we were talking about it, but somehow this was not happening, and Professor Patra was persistent enough to make it happen. As I said, today is a very special occasion. We have today Professor Rajiv Sangal, who was a former director of IIT BHU, to celebrate the Teachers' Day here, and we also have in BHU Professor Bhatnagar, who was the previous Vice Chancellor there. So, although I had other commitments, but then I said this is a very, very rare occasion that after discussing for quite some time, we are reaching a point where we are ready to sign an MOU, and I must give priority to that. So, I am very thankful to you, Professor Patra, for making it happen. When Professor Patra talked to me a few weeks back, he was thinking if I can come here in the morning, and I had to request him that I have other Teachers' Day celebration of BHU in the morning, so could I come in the afternoon, and he was very generous to allow me to do that, and I thought I will use this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on teaching and research. And I will start out by asking a question: what is the university for? Is it for education of our youth? And if so, it needs to decide whether it is really going to focus on very, very large number of students. For example, BHU has 36,000 students. And I just went visited. I met one of the students and he said he had been to Carnegie Mellon for a year. And you have heard Carnegie Mellon is one of the finest undergraduate college. I said, so? He said, after 1 year I came here. I said, so? He said, I'm very happy. I said, do you get credits for Carnegie Mellon? He said, no. You mean to say you will again take 4 more years? He said, yes. Do you mind? He said, no. I'm very happy. So there are students who would leave America's best institutions to go to Olin College. And it's a 360 student college. Because they said, we want to redefine engineering education and we therefore will not be large, we will be small, but we will be more impactful. So we need to sort out that. We need to also sort out the research. What do you mean by research? Why should taxpayer pay for research? Why should the government's money be given to you and me in order for us to publish a paper? Who cares? That money could be going to provide basic education to a young underprivileged kid. It can be going to provide healthcare for the poorest. And there are so many other causes for which that money could be going. So why should the research be funded? And the reason is that the reason research is funded is because it is good for the economic development and it is good for the societal development. You solve society's problems. But then, when you look at the research papers, when you sit in the selection committees and you meet many, many people, you ask them, what have you done? They will say, we have published so many papers, they are in Scopus, they are in UGC care, my H index is so much. They never tell you what is the societal impact. They never tell you how it is affecting the economy. And one of the colleagues from a renowned American university once explained this concept to me. He said, imagine in Olympics you have gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal. Now create a 4th medal, wooden medal, lakadi ka medal. Right? Now give wooden medal to every university. Anybody who is teaching gets a wooden medal. Now give bronze medal to those who are teaching their classes extremely well. तो अगर आप यूनिवर्सिटी हो, आप टीचिंग कर रहे हो, थोड़ा बहुत रिसर्च कर रहे हो, तो वुडन तो आपका हो गया, सबको कंसोलेशन प्राइज हो गया. If you are doing very good teaching, you get bronze medal. But if you also publish a lot of papers and you have a lot of citations, H index, then you get a silver medal. You have lots of H index. I go to events where chief guest is invited, the speaker is invited, saying उसके 500 पेपर हैं, उसके 5000 पेपर हैं, उसका H index इतना है. वो ये नहीं बोलेगा कि इसका impact क्या है. So silver medal. And he says when the research has made a societal impact or economical impact, that is when you get the gold medal. So the gold medal guy may have only 5 papers, right? By today's standards, Einstein might be there, having very low H index compared to many of us, but would have made impact to the subject, to the understanding, right? So to me, that is what research is for, and our universities have to go from wooden medal to bronze medal to silver medal to gold medal. It's a food chain, it's a system in which you have to grow. You can't straight away jump right away to gold. You can't say, I will not promote you unless you bring me societal impact, obviously. But there has to be a level where you will say, okay, you have become associate professor based on some papers, now to become professor, can you show me some impact? Or you can say, you have become professor, now to become senior professor, do you have impact? Things like that. Now to do that, what do the institutions need? They need 3 things: top talent, very generous resources, and strong culture and governance system. If you have only one, it doesn't work. If you have only 2, it doesn't work. You need all 3. If you have very high quality people, but you don't have laboratories for them, what will they do? You have very good people, you have very good laboratories, but your babus are not letting the person buy chemicals, right? Or your babus are making the faculty member run around asking for paper to give no dues or no objection certificate to get a visa or attend a conference. Then what research you expect? So you need good culture, good governance, right? Culture of sharing. I was telling you about EPFL, about Olin College. Right? If BHU and IIT BHU cannot collaborate together, but why is that? It is not because of resources, it is not because of talent, it is because of culture and governance. Right? So these are 3 things you need. And then, what do we mean by top talent? You need to have very good quality of recruitment. This recruitment has to be of faculty, students and staff, even the safai wala, even the chowkidar has to be on quality. It has to be based on subjective criteria, not objective criteria, not by counting the number of papers. You don't arrange a marriage for your daughter or son-in-law or son in an arranged marriage style by doing an objective criteria, saying uski height ke itne point ho gaye, uski salary kitni hai, itne point ho gaye, IIT का डिग्री है तो एक्स्ट्रा पॉइंट मिलेगा, जैसे वो यूजीसी का केयर का सिस्टम होता है ना पूरा व्यवस्था, वो नहीं चलेगा. यू लुक एट द बॉय और द गर्ल्स रिज्यूमे एंड यू से चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा, एंड से नहीं चलेगा, हटा दो, चलेगा ठीक है इसको रख लेते हैं, उसके 4 बजते हैं, 4 बजे से बोलते हैं किससे बात करनी है आगे, चलो. राइट? इट हैज टू बी सब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया टू रिक्रूट पीपल. Then you have to retain the people. Good people will move. I am doing these days selection committee. Patra was complaining that I don't meet these days. These days I am sitting in the selection committee every day, from morning till evening. And what are we doing? We are making offers to people who are in somewhat less privileged universities than we are. And then our own people are going to some other places. Right? So this is a food chain. The lower ranked institutions will lose good talent to higher ranked institutions. I would not use the rank means NIRF rank, but better ecosystem, better culture, better governance, better resources. So you have to retain them. You have to create conditions that your good people don't leave. Your policies, which we are designed for bottom 80% people or bottom 70% people, they will frustrate the top 20% people and they will leave, or they will want to leave. And finally, you want diversity, diversity of expertise and diversity of people. You want different ideas. You want humanities person to be working with the mathematics person. And you need a lot of generous resources. Talent costs money. Right? The person that I left behind at IIT Gandhinagar was doing fantastic alumni relations. A first generation IIT offered him double the salary. Took him away. The boy who was doing placement office, a new foreign university came and they offered him double the salary. They stole him. Right? You need good money to retain good talent. Right? People have aspirations. They want to drive decent car. They want to buy a decent apartment. If I am giving you 50,000 rupees and somebody is willing to give you 1.5 lakh rupees, the guy will leave. You need money for that. You need money for research. Research is very expensive. Laboratories, equipment, library, database, infrastructure, guest house. To me, the most important thing any university needs for excellence is a good guest house. Right? Not good looking guest house, but good guest house. There is a difference. I remember I used to go to IIT Bangalore, not anymore. Professor Vidyasagar would remember 10, 20 years back when we go to IIT Bangalore. There was a guy who would come and very sweetly make you eat dosa. He will say, sir, please have some more. Even in IIT Madras today, guest house, there is a guy who will come and talk to you and he will say, can we make you this type of dosa and that type of dosa? You know, it is people like these who make you feel attached with the institution. You want to go back to them. You look forward to them, right? In fact, when we were doing Kashi Tamil Sangamam, the director of IIT Madras had flown the cook from IIT Madras to BHU and made him cook some food for the minister in the morning for breakfast, right? That is the kind of people you need to run guest house. You can't run a guest house if the guest is coming and the geyser is not working or the AC is not working. And the most important thing is the culture and the governance, because you can do anything, but if you don't build a culture, it's bad. It is like you bring me the best cook, you bring me the best ingredients, and I make the best food for you. I invite you as my most honored guest, and I invite you for dinner, and I have the best cook, and the best food, best dishes, but my kitchen has the bacteria. So next morning you will have loose motions. Bad culture is that. You can have great people, great resources, but if you have bad culture, if you have poor attitude of people, if you have poor values of a university, it's all down the drain. Ethics, integrity, what kind of peer group is there? What kind of collegiality is there? Somebody will stay with you because he likes the people. He may not go because somebody else is paying 40% more salary. There are so many Indian industry leaders who have set up in universities in India, and they are not able to steal people from IITs. Because these people from IITs would say, I will not get the same kind of peers that I will get in IIT. Right? You need interdisciplinarity. I should be able to talk to people in other subjects. I should have tolerance for failures. Because if you are not tolerating the failure, you will not be able to do experiments. And then you should have expectations and aspirations. One of the biggest challenges of this country's educational ecosystem is that we don't have aspirations and expectations. We are never comparing ourselves with Olin College and saying, यार ये Olin College वाला क्या करता है जो सुधीर जैन जाके बात करता है? मुझको देखना चाहिए. See, there are a lot of young people here. How many of them will actually go to the room and say, सुधीर जैन कुछ Olin College के बारे में बोला है, ढूंढते हैं क्या होता है यार ये? जाके अपने डीन एकेडमिक से बात करते हैं. Olin College जो करता है वो हमें भी बात तो करनी चाहिए उसके बारे में. करें या नहीं करें वो अलग बात. Aspiration, expectation, setting the benchmarks, setting the expectations. Governance, ease of transaction. How easy it is for us to do a transaction. To sign an MOU between me and IIT BHU, if it takes months and months of discussions, there is a problem. We should have been able to do it in one day. If it has taken 12 years to sign this MOU, there is a problem. We must recognize that. It means all is not well. Ease of transaction. We must have support system that will enable our people to do intellectual work. And we must have recognition for good work in our promotion policies, and we should be consistent over time and space. It can't be that in electrical engineering, everybody is getting promoted. In civil engineering, only a few people are getting promoted on merit. That will cause discomfort. If in one director's tenure something is happening, second director's tenure something else is happening, third director's tenure third thing is happening, that is called crazy making. You are driving people crazy. They don't know what to expect. Right? You must have the attitude to experiment with the ideas. Unlike the industry, if you set up a hydrochemical plant, if you set up a big factory of any kind, if you choose the wrong technology, you are doomed. If you do a wrong kind of a dam at a wrong type of a location, it's bad. But what can go wrong? If we make a mistake in our curriculum design, we can change it after 2 years. And our students are not going to suffer just because we didn't teach them this or we taught them something else. Our students don't do well because we teach them. They do well because in spite of us, right? I will come to that in a minute. If you look at a typical university, a typical project in any domain, there is a tension between these three things: quality, cost, and time. If you are willing to spend more time and more money, you can get more quality. Right? So, any project manager, any funding agency, any administration has to balance these three things. If you are building a hotel in Banaras, the hotel chain will say, how much is it going to cost? Okay. What is the quality? Okay. How much time it will take? If I spend more money, can you give it faster? If I give you more money, what more quality you can give me? So it's a tension between these three things. In university, it changes to quality, quality, and quality. There is no record today. Mahamanaji spent how many rupees in building the construction of the Faculty of Arts building? Do you remember that? Does anybody care that he spent some more money? Nobody. What matters is what he built. If you go to IIT Kanpur today, it is 72, 73-year-old buildings there. How does it matter that those buildings were built in 62 or 63 or 64 or 65? What matters is how good are those buildings for intellectual interactions, for people to meet each other, greet each other, work with each other. How does it matter that they spent 100 rupees or 105 rupees? Their architect was charging them 4 rupees or 5 rupees out of 100. How does it matter? What matters is how good was the design of that architect. So in academic institutions, the quality, and quality, not the cost, not the time. I was saying this, we in the university system become famous both as an institution as well as individuals because of our alumni. It is the alumni that bring the glory to an institution and to the teacher. And I challenge myself to think that regardless of any institution, you'll always find a few people, 5% people, 8% people, 10% people who will do well. Doesn't matter what you teach, what you don't teach. Doesn't matter. But, for example, in an institution like an IIT and ISC type institutions where there is a good scrutiny of teaching, faculty recruitment, good scrutiny of student admissions, there are reasonable systems. Instead of 5%, maybe there will be 15%. So I'm going from a few to some. But if you want to be Olin College, if you want to be Carnegie Mellon, if you want to be Stanford or MIT, right? Today Professor Bhatnagar was telling me that if all the wealth MIT graduates have created, if you add it all up, and if MIT was an independent country, it will be the 24th most richest country in the world, right? If you want to do that, then you have to do some effort. And if you want more and more people, you have to do more effort on how do you prepare your students. And for that, we must remember what the education should do, because there is a lot of confusion in the country about what the education is. Just last week, I was talking to some government people, and there was a concern that, okay, these are electrical engineers who are not doing electrical engineering, they are civil engineers. And I looked at the person who was talking to me, I said, you are an engineer, you are an IAS officer, right? Undergraduate degree is not meant to make you a technician. It is meant to make you a good person. Whenever I taught civil engineering class in my 25 years at IIT Kanpur, I always assumed that my students will fly, they will do whatever appeals to them. Some of them will become engineers, but some of them will become managers, some of them will become bureaucrats, some of them will become musicians or whatever. Education is not training. Education is meant to create in the students a purpose in life, a good purpose in life. I hated him. I could have murdered him at the time. Of course, I was too young and too small and too weak to murder. As a teacher, we have to see, are we impacting our students in a nice way, even though they may dislike us today? And how do our students remember us? I started teaching exactly 40 years back, more than 40 years back, March 1984. The students I taught have started to retire from government service. Some of them retired as Chief Secretary in Government of Bihar. When I used to teach them, they used to come to me and they used to tell me, "Sir, आपका concrete design का course बहुत अच्छा चलता है, sir, आपका structural analysis का course बहुत अच्छा चलता है, sir, आपके solid mechanics बहुत अच्छी पढ़ाई है." But when they came to me after 20 years, they never said that. They said, एक बार आपने घर पर खाने को बुलाया था, तो आपने मुझे ये बताया था. एक बार आपने मुझे डांटा था, तो मुझे ये कहा था. आपने एक बार मुझे अपने कमरे से भगा दिया था ये कह के, तो मैंने को बहुत दुख हुआ था, लेकिन उसके बाद मैंने सोचा आगे से ये नहीं करूंगा. उसको पढ़ाई के अलावा बाकी चीजें याद हैं. And he's also going to remember my bad things. They are sponge. They will take good as well as bad from me. Let us not have them remember me for my bad things. What does it take to succeed in the long term? Short term में तो कुछ भी करोगे. Short term में तो मस्का लगाने से, सिफारिश करने से, मंत्री से फोन कराने से कुछ भी काम हो जाएगा. Long term में क्या होगा? Long term में you need values, you need attitude, you need life skills, and finally you need knowledge. Remember, values first. If today I have to hire an officer in BHU, I have to hire an executive engineer. And by the way, you can actually interview people to figure it out. Okay? The methods are good. Second question. इसका एटीट्यूड नेगेटिव है या पॉजिटिव है? काम करेगा या कहेगा नहीं, कुछ नहीं होता, कुछ नहीं हो सकता, मार दे गया, सैटरडे हो गया, रूल्स अलाउ नहीं करता. एटीट्यूड. थर्ड, लाइफ स्किल्स. जब उसके ऊपर यूजर चिल्ला रहा होगा तो क्या उसको अपने आप को संभाल लेगा? इमोशनल क्वेश्चन है उसके अंदर. कैन ही मैनेज हिमसेल्फ? कैन ही मैनेज हिज टाइम? एंड फाइनली से कुछ इंजीनियरिंग आती है कि नहीं आती? क्योंकि इंजीनियरिंग तो मैं सिखा दूंगा. इंजीनियरिंग तो मैं IIT BHU के प्रोफेसर के साथ बोल दूंगा, जो इसको बता दे कैसे डिजाइन करना है, इसका बिजली का जो सप्लाई होता है इसको आता नहीं, सिखा दे. उसको ईमानदारी नहीं सिखा सकते, उसको पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड नहीं सिखा सकते। क्या हम अपने स्टूडेंट्स को देते हैं? Do we give this to our students? Do we think that we should give this to our students? I've had that trouble. My young faculty in IIT BHU used to complain to me. They said, they have come to learn physics from us or civil engineering from us. Why are you bothered? This is not our business. I said, no, this is only our business. If you don't teach this, you are not doing justice with the law, because you are a teacher first. मेरे को 2 साल पहले कैलटेक ने डिस्टिंग्विश्ड अलुमनस अवार्ड दिया। So there were interviews, there were speeches. हर बार वो पूछता है क्या हुआ, कैलटेक में क्या किया? यार अपने की नहीं तो मैं कहीं से भी पढ़ सकता था, इन्होंने पढ़ाई होती तो मैं पढ़ाता। इन्होंने थोड़ी अच्छी पढ़ाई, कम अच्छी पढ़ाई तो पर जो वैल्यूज दिए, जो एटीट्यूड दिए, वो मेरे काम आए। Today, when I look back at my life, my college, my school, my university, undergraduate, masters, PhD, I think I picked up the values and civil engineering तो कहीं भी सीख सकता हूँ, वो तो किताब से भी सीख सकता हूँ। That is what I am grateful to my alma maters. Since you are talking about research and innovation, I think it is important to remember the flexibility of curriculum. We teachers quite often tend to think that we know what to teach. We don't know what to teach. We really don't know. It is not important to teach everything. What is important is that the student should learn to learn, so that the student keep learning. Whatever I do today in my current job, or let us say whatever I have done in last 15 years in my jobs, I became director of IIT BHU in 2009, more than 15 years back. Was it taught to me in my undergraduate years? Was it taught to me in my masters? Was it taught to me in PhD? I had to learn. I had to learn how to read the balance sheet. Today, Professor Bhatnagar was saying that he was good at reading balance sheet, and when he came to BHU, he could see that paisa rakha hua hai. That is how he started to build housing. Because he could read the balance sheet. No staff would have told him कि हाँ ये पैसे रखे आप इसको लेके मकान बनाना शुरू करो। He said हमने हेफा का लोन तो बाद में अप्लाई किया, पहले हमने देख लिया था कि पैसे रखे हैं, वहाँ से खर्च करना शुरू किया। कहता हमारा हेफा लोन तो आया था, 9 स्टोरी बिल्डिंग बन गई थी। Right? You have to learn new things all your life. Since I'm standing in an engineering institution, how do we teach? What do we teach? What kind of mathematics we teach? And I can give similar example of humanities, how do we teach, but let's say mathematics. How do we teach mathematics? Do an experiment. First year के बच्चे आ गए, यही क्या आ गए? कितने हैं? 1000 होंगे, 800 होंगे, 600 होंगे, 1600. Wow, okay. Now, connect them in a hall like this. Ask them what is mean, what is median. Give them 10 numbers. Give them a parchi. Each one of them will calculate mean, each one of them will calculate median. No exceptions. 99% of your students will know how to calculate mean and how to calculate median. Ask the next question. When will you use mean and when will you use median? I can guarantee not even 1% will be able to answer it. I have done this experiment for 10 years in IIT BHU. I get the same JEE students that do it. Because my teachers are coming and teaching what is mean and what is median, but they are never teaching what is the difference between the two in terms of application. That is the kind of mathematics we are teaching. In fact, that became a funny thing for me, because when I started to recruit mathematics faculty, I started to ask that question. And I found to my great surprise that many mathematics faculty members with PhDs, they were not able to answer. Finally, we need to remember research for credentials, the silver medal. The papers, the citations, the H-index, and research for impact. We must learn as an academic that when you start your career, you need the credentials. You will not get money from GST if you don't have credentials, if you don't show that you have good papers. But when you go in your 50s, when you become a professor, and if you are proud of your papers on H-index, there is a problem. Then you should be talking about your impact. So that shift has to happen, and for that we need actually at the institutional level a policy shift where we say we will encourage quality teaching with student engagement. Teaching is not about teaching classroom well. It is also about engagement. When the student is going out with you, from here to the gate, are you talking to him? Are you, as a warden, spending time with the students? Just maybe. Some of my students have come to me and saying, "आपसे वो 1 minute बात हुई थी, that was a very important thing." Right? There's one boy from a very underprivileged background, highly undernourished, underweight, Jain cleared, came to IIT Gandhinagar, evening time, walking towards the mess food, and I'm coming out of the office. We encounter each other, we talk not more than 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes. कहाँ से आए हो? कैसा चल रहा है? सर लैंग्वेज का बहुत दिक्कत है। यार तेरे को दिक्कत है, मुझे भी बहुत दिक्कत थी। मुझे तो अंग्रेजी नहीं आती थी, मैं अमेरिका चला गया था, मुझे अंग्रेजी समझ में नहीं आती थी, मुझे अमेरिकन की एक्सेंट में नहीं आती थी। तुझे तो फिर भी बेटर है यार, मेरी तो सभी ज्यादा रख रहा है। अच्छा सर, आज वो बात क्या कह रही होगी? 1 हफ्ते पहले वो अपनी वाइफ के साथ लेके मेरे पास एक दिन रुकने के लिए आया। इससे सर वो एक एनकाउंटर आपका मेरे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। You know, so do we have the policy shift where we say to our faculty that we expect quality teaching, student engagement together this year? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your inspiring vision. We are truly grateful for your insights. As we now prepare to transition to the next part of today's program, that is the keynote lecture session.